call this meeting to order. Justice Tinsley, would you say the prayer?
Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us all together here once again. Be with us as we make a decision for the people of this county. And lead us all safely home for that. Lord, I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Do we have a moment of silence for our church? Jim, would you say the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kara Staten. Here. Frank Hansen.
Here.
Dan Roberts. Present. Brian Snavely. Kathy Valentine. Present. Sam Tinsley.
Here.
Robert Meek.
Here.
James Park.
Here.
Ralph Wynn.
Present.
James Widener.
Here.
David Thompson.
Here.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the February 8, 2016 minutes and the March 8, 2016 agenda?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed by the same sign. Tommy, you want to get a treasury report?
Okay, the beginning balance as of February the 1st, 2016 for County General was $2,960,272.59. Revenues for the month were $500,365.45. Disbursements for the month were $1,018,279.58, resulting in a balance on February 29, 2016 for County General of $2,442,358.46. Beginning balance as of February the 1st, 2016 for County Roads was $824,750.25. Revenues for the month were $148,511.14. Disbursements for the month were $116,082.92, resulting in a balance on February 29, 2016 of $857,178.47. The 1/4 cent sales tax revenues for February were $125,754.18. The 1% county sales tax revenues for February were $286,314.57. General revenue turned back for February was $14,761.41. Highway revenue turned back for February was $92,770.04. And the 0.5% state highway tax for February was $44,379.56.
Okay. On Quorum Court Committee reports, Jim, do you want to talk about the committee meeting that we had?
Okay.
Finance.
Yes, the Finance Committee met last week, and we feel like we worked for the public, and we have heard quite a bit of feedback about taking out the sunset clause. They would like the sunset clause back in there. And that being the case, the Finance Committee recommends that we put the sunset clause back in the orders and sales tax. And I would put that in the form of a motion, I guess, if that's what we need.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Well, we voted to take it out, so I think I'll vote to put it back.
You will.
I have a question though about that, Dan. The lawyers that are writing up this ordinance for us, will they get notified to put that back in? Okay. It's a little premature.
I think they said that they could change that right now, last minute. But the sooner that we do it, the better off we are.
Question, why do we need to change it now, if we can change it later?
Because you have to give it 3 readings. Number one, Frank.
Okay.
We really can't change it much later.
Do what say?
We really can't change it much later and get the ordinances on the 3 readings and follow the schedule that we've set.
Well, can't we rearrange it 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now, whenever we need to, or evidence that we need to?
10 years.
Fair.
I'd like to point out that Article 3 in the ordinance says that the tax shall be levied for a period of 10 years. Is that the same as sunset
His
clause?
motion.
That is the sunset clause.
It's in the ordinance
I
that,
think there's
That's
two
true,
more.
that's
Two ordinances here.
One with and one without.
And one without it, in case we prepared ordinances both ways.
oh, you're putting both in. Okay, so
No,
this
we're
other one
only gonna
is,
do one. If we vote to put it back in, we have an ordinance with the sunset.
I'm with you now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. And the other thing that we've got to do, I mean, I'm sorry, this is, we've got to officially change the date of the election too. Don't we have to do that tonight?
It's already been done. It's in the 18th.
But we haven't voted on changing that.
We
though,
haven't
have we?
voted on anything, no.
That's what I was talking about, was we have to vote on that stuff tonight to keep everything on schedule. I mean, after we do this, I mean, we don't want to forget.
Yes, sir. I don't have the information. Who are the attorneys that are drafting that? There should be a schedule that lays out.
Yeah.
120 days before you get to that last, because you have to have everything official. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the schedule is.
Yeah, we received that schedule, everything, and we got the ordinances tonight to do the other stuff, and we had the other stuff done last month, but this input on whether to leave the sunset in or not has come to light, and then the date, actually, it's got to be the second Tuesday, and we set it on, I think, the first Tuesday, so it's, that's kind of just a technicality, but it does have to be voted on.
It needs to be. It is.
It's in the ordinance.
Okay, all right, sorry.
Right now, we're voting on a motion to take the sunset out, or leave the sunset in.
The motion is leaving.
Yes. I think we got a first and second on that. And you can get a roll call vote on that.
Well, now, wait a minute, do we have to go 3 meetings if we're gonna vote on this, or is that already done?
We'll only vote once on the ordinance itself, but we have to read it. That's 3 different
So
times.
if you guys want to vote on it,
So it's not a done deal when we vote
that's
it
just your
in.
will and place that on your agenda, so you guys can.
You have to vote on it. You have to-
Do we have 3
Once
meetings?
it's on your agenda, you have your usual 3 votes. and you can do it.
So right now, we're just amending that.
Oh, well, no, I was just saying is that since, really all you're really doing, since you're, if you will, you're adopting that version of the ordinance that you ultimately want to vote on, the sunset clause. All I was saying is that since that's just your will, what you guys want to do collectively as a body, and effectively when you're going to put it on your agenda, all you need to really do is do the roll call to have that version of the sunset clause.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm talking too much.
We tend to like it when lawyers talk.
That's rare, yes.
So I guess the motion would be to have this put on the agenda.
Yeah, with the version, and I'm sorry, I just don't know what you have got in front of you, but the version with the sunset
With the
clause.
sunset clause.
Say it again.
We are voting on to put this on the agenda with sunset clause.
And then after that, you vote for the ordinance.
Do you have a motion?
Yes, yeah.
So we can vote
Back
on
in.
it.
And it's gotta be 3 readings.
David Thompson.
Yes.
Kara Staton.
yes.
Frank Hampson.
Yeah.
Dan Roberts.
Yes.
Kathy Valentine.
Yes.
Sam Kinsley.
Yes.
Robert Meek.
Yes.
Jim Hart.
Yes.
Ralph Gwynn.
Yes.
James Widener.
Yes.
And so, Jim, you were talking, the date has been changed in there, so when we then vote on the ordinance, first reading, that's as good as we need to do. I mean, that's all we need to do, probably.
So it's in here, so what we're gonna do, right? Which one? The election ordinance. Yes, it's a separate ordinance, I've got that.
So we need to do our second vote on this now?
On the reading ordinance, yeah.
Yes.
So now you just have a motion.
I move that we read the ordinance by title only.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. Okay. Jim, are you reading that?
Okay, you just want me to read the title only?
Yes, Kara said title only.
Be enacted by the Quorum Court of Boone County, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled, an ordinance providing the levy of one quarter of 1% sales and use tax within Boone County, Arkansas, for a period of 10 years, and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto. And I would move, well, that was the second reading.
Any discussion?
I can ask a question.
No, we don't discuss it today.
I'd like to ask a question. What are we gonna do with the extra money?
It's going to go for the jail, for the operation of the jail. Sheriff's Department.
Yes. Where is it? We're gonna collect a bunch of extra money with this $0.25 for 10 years. There's gonna be some extra money. Where is it gonna go? What are we gonna do? We're gonna put it in the bank somewhere? Or?
Frank, that is dedicated money. It has to go to exactly where the ordinance says it's going to be spent.
Okay, if we pile up, what, $20 million, it's gotta be spent?
No, we'll all retire. No, that's it.
I'm asking
Okay.
a question. And I hadn't heard an answer. I don't care if it's
Yeah, it's
dedicated,
gonna
I'm
go-
just saying, where we dedicate it to.
The jail.
It says in the ordinance exactly where you dedicate it. Have you read the ordinance?
Yes,
It tells you exactly where it's dedicated. Law enforcement.
okay. I'm asking about extra money, over and above.
Doesn't make any
expenses.
difference. Any money that's generated by that sales tax shall remain with that dedication, which is law enforcement. Period.
Frank,
So it-
even if it just sits there, it's just gonna sit there until they need it for law enforcement. There will come a time when we're gonna have to add a pod to that jail. It's not that far down the future. And I don't know how much that is, $2-3 million? I mean, we're not gonna have that much left over from what I can see.
Okay. This has all been, we've already voted on this, right? Okay. Dixie?
I finally got a copy of the ordinance that y'all are voting on, and I had a question.
Point of order, we're not voting on it. We're not voting on it. Yeah, we just read it and then vote on it on the third reading, right?
And so I can't ask a question tonight about it?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
That's why the 3 readings really is for.
To give us an opportunity to ask questions? Okay.
Go ahead, Dixie.
But we're not voting on it.
Yeah.
The final vote is just tonight.
Okay. I stand corrected. It's your second vote. But anyways, I was wondering, because it says in here on,
What section are you in, or what article are you in?
Dixie, would you get at the podium, please?
yes, sir. At the beginning, it tells us a little bit about what it's replacing, and then it says, B, for other criminal justice purposes, collectively just jail and criminal justice purposes, after the existing tax expires, and then it goes into it. And then on 5, it explains what criminal justice facilities are, and it goes into apprehension and prosecution, probation, rehabilitation, detention, which detention I understand is the jail. But it goes law enforcement facilities, parole offices, then it goes into court facilities, and other public offices for law enforcement officials. So it sounds like to me that y'all are, if you get additional funds, y'all pull county general funds from these offices and use that money just like y'all did this last time. So any additional funds would be spread out over these offices that are included in this.
But they are all law enforcement.
Okay, so you're saying that this jail tax is what it's been called, is going to pay for court facilities and other public offices.
Law enforcement, that's what it is.
The numbers on this is it costs $1 million to run the jail and a little over. Okay, the tax generates $1.2 million, I think, currently. So what you're talking about, maybe even what Frank is talking about, the extra money, I don't know whether you're talking about the same thing or not.
Well, I understand that it's dedicated and that it's going to be spent the way this does. But it seems like to me that y'all are adding things that it can be spent on rather than holding it back for the use of the jail like it's presented to the public. And even before, it says to provide an additional source of revenue. Additional source. But yet y'all pulled county general from it. So all these years you've pulled county general funds from it, even though it says an additional source in the ordinance. So to me, I think y'all thrown the county public under the bus by pulling general funds, using them elsewhere, and now we're having to come back to this tax, and now you're adding more offices that you want to cover with this tax. So there's no way any additional funds would ever be capitalized on to where in 10 years we would have an excess that we wouldn't have to come back and ask for this tax again.
In a roundabout way, that's kind of the question I was asking.
Well, it's the same thing that it has been for the past 10 years. Exact same thing.
The uses.
Copies of the original ordinance.
We didn't have that.
And we haven't added anything to it. That's exactly like it was when it was voted on 10 years ago.
Okay, and has the tax funds been used in these other departments as well? I know they're all related, but to support the courthouse.
Anything
Jail fund
that's,
has never been used to support the jail.
anything that's not been used for the jail has built up in the jail sales tax fund, which
Okay.
currently has
The
$2
only
million.
place any of the rest of it has been used, Dixie, is for the Cops in School program.
Okay,
That's the only other place that they've used any of it.
but it spells out here where it can be.
And the old one did too. I mean, it can
So-
be, but to say they ever will, who can answer that? you
Right.
know? But yes.
So my question is, should that be taken out to where it is truly a jail tax, to where we're funding the jail and the sheriff's department and not the courthouse and other public offices and
Well,
training facilities and...
Here's the instance that, say, the sheriff's office need new bulletproof vests, and some money is accumulated in the jail sales tax fund. With these uses encompassed, we can help out the sheriff's office as well as the jail. Now, there's not enough money there. I told you the numbers. There's not enough money there to fund a whole lot of other stuff. I think our intent is to let that build up for the jail. Now, it's not going to accumulate a whole lot because there's not much excess. We need that to run the jail. Now, these other things are, as Sam said, it's the same listing as before.
I didn't see the one before, so I didn't know to question it then. Sorry.
Well, that's
10 years late.
And Dixie, I'd like to state too, you said something about training and stuff. That is part of law enforcement.
Well, I understand that, but when you present this to the taxpayers, you're like, we're going to support our sheriff, we're going to provide for them the jail and the monies to take care of it and support his staff. I understand all that. But then when you come back over to the second page, and then it's talking about other public offices for law enforcement, and then it talks about detention or rehabilitation, training facilities, parole offices. Then you're getting into a whole nother realm, and it's like, okay, so we give you this money, and you have enough to run the jail, and you have a little extra, so you're going to throw it over to the court system or to maintain the building or whatever, and that frees up county general to do something else. So that's my only thing. I want to see the money spent, and I know you can't touch it by law, but you can pull county general funds away from other things when you use this money. And that's what's happened in the past. That's why there's no extreme excess now. Just like y'all said at the beginning of the year, you pulled $500,000 out of that jail fund, not tax money, general money, so it was legal. but again, it reduced the money that was available for the jail. So I just don't want to see that happen again, spreading it thin, going to other areas besides to the sheriff's department and his needs there.
I guarantee you the sheriff has discussed this with us, and he's all right.
The jail tax is to support the jail. The general fund is the general fund, and we've talked about it before. The jail tax should support the jail.
And I'm wondering, I don't know, and our council could have a little bit, but this description of law enforcement may encompass all these things because this is the constitutional or the statutory definition of what is encompassed in law enforcement. And I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of taking a guess at why all of these things are listed, and I'm guessing it's probably constitutionally included in the definition because our guys in Little Rock are all doing it the way they're supposed to. So you just disagree?
Okay, like I said, I just want to make sure that the funds aren't spread elsewhere, that they're going to be used specifically for the jail and the sheriff and not spread out to cover the courthouse or any other fees, even though it says it can be.
The third paragraph of this ordinance explains in detail how and where the money is to be used.
Does it say anything in there about the exact copy of what we did 10 years ago?
Well, I understand that. And in that first paragraph, it says for other criminal justice purposes, collectively. And then it goes in on number 5, it says criminal justice facilities shall mean, and it goes into all of these other things.
What it says in the first paragraph that you have not read, what it says is to acquire, construct, improve, renovate, expand, equip, furnish, operate, and maintain criminal justice facilities. That includes the sheriff's department, any other law enforcement agency within county government.
Well, your first paragraph reads different than the one that I have, so I apologize
Well,
for
I'm
that.
reading the one that we're going to approve.
Okay, like I said, I'm just going by what I was provided.
I would like to make at least one point that I think there's about $3 million other dollars out of the general fund going to law enforcement. So, I don't want you to leave the podium thinking that law enforcement's getting shorted in any way, shape, or form.
Okay. Thank you for y'all's time.
Yes, Karen.
And Judge, I'd like to point out that we've kind of got off of our agenda. We skipped the announcements and presentations, and we have folks here.
Yeah, and the reason I did that is because of the committee meeting
Oh, okay.
before, and that kind of fit right in with this. That's the reason we done that. Are we ready to move on? Yeah, we've done our vote and everything? Okay. Now, for announcements and presentations. Mr. Brian Cash is here with the Hospital Board of Governors. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, as a member of the Board of Governors for the county, overseeing the lease, I would like to present you all the documents that support that the North Arkansas Medical Center is complying with what the lease says. And I'm going to present those to the judge. And if y'all have any questions, feel free to ask me.
Is there a check in there?
There is a check for $25, a copy of it.
Well, thank you.
You'll spend more of that at McDonald's tonight.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, sir. Okay. I've got a nomination for the library board, Mr. George Holcomb. I'm voting on that. George, would you like to say something?
Good evening. It's nice to be here again. I've seen a lot of familiar faces. Judge Hathaway asked me to serve on the library board. Not a very sexy job, but I think it's essential to the health of the community. So I'll do the best I can if you approve it.
I move to approve.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. George, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, sir. Appreciate it. You get a second. Okay, we've already done the ordinance on the tax.
We've got to officially change that date in some form or fashion, either
Is this the
with.
second one?
Isn't that included in the ordinance?
Well,
that we just approved?
I don't have copies of anything really, so I don't really know, so.
It's in there.
No, there's another ordinance.
Okay.
And I think there should be a motion to, what is that again? Or read tonight, not vote on it.
Okay, so the motion is to put that on the agenda to read it tonight.
Well, put it on the agenda, yes, to be read, yes.
Just for the third time, and first time would be the first. Second.
Yeah.
Oh!
First reading.
Okay.
First reading of the new proposed.
Okay, the one that we put on the first reading, it didn't have a date in it.
No.
It's just the general one of the ones. Now, this other one also has to be on a concurrent 3 readings.
That is correct.
And it has the date in it.
Yes, correct.
And that's the one we're getting to right now.
That is correct.
That's where we are.
Okay.
I know where we are.
And does this ordinance need to be read?
By title only.
By title only? Okay.
Is that this one? Jim?
Okay, do we have a motion to read this ordinance?
I'd make the motion. Or, yeah.
Have a second?
I do that.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed by the same sign? Okay, Dan, you want to read it?
Be it enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Boone, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled, an ordinance calling a special election in Boone County, Arkansas on the question of levying a countywide 0.25% sales and use tax and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto.
Okay, any questions? Okay. Chris, I guess we want to do a roll call vote?
Well, I'd sure like to see a copy of what we're voting on.
I realize
I mean,
that I missed a little bit, but
I mean, I know it's all cool and everything, but I would like to see it.
I realize I'm a little bit behind and I apologize for that. But is there a reason why we couldn't do this with the school board election? Why are we having to have a special election?
Well, you answered the question.
Okay, so school elections and regular, like a general election, they don't hold them together due
Right.
to the fact that the lines are very separated and it would cause a mass confusion. Usually schools have elections in, a lot of times in different areas. If you've noticed, we've never had school elections and any kind of special election not dealing with the school. We never have them together. They've always been separate, right?
Okay.
Too many ways to split the vote.
Because the lines do not intermingle at all. They're all very different lines.
Precinct-wise.
Precinct-wise. We do
Okay.
not have the ability to put that together right now. It would cause a mass voter confusion by doing that.
And again, forgive me, how much will this special election cost?
$10,000 is estimated.
Thank you.
You said you didn't think you had to vote on it.
Well,
Vote on it.
okay, February 8th or February 16th.
Or you get something to table it and just vote on it, or you get to, you can call it red.
Yeah.
The deal with
I don't see that this contains a date for the election. Pardon me?
This is the kind of this.
This February. The date in this ordinance is incorrect. The date that I'm seeing is February 9th.
That's the date the ordinance is read. The dates are set up. I'm sorry, this is the the election date is almost the 9th.
Is that supposed to be stated in this ordinance?
What is this? March 8th is the first reading, April 12th is the second reading, May 10th is the third reading, and the election date is August 9th.
Is that in this ordinance? Where is that? Should it not be in this ordinance, the election date? I'm sorry?
It was probably
Be a special.
Oh, there it is. I stand corrected. It is in Article 1. Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have a resolution. Next, we have a resolution expressing the willingness of Boone County to partner with the Arkansas State Highway Department and Transportation Department for the following project.
I'll make a motion to have this resolution read.
All those in favor say aye. Dan seconded it. All those opposed, same sign.
Do you want me to read this one for you?
Can you see better than I can?
Maybe.
You can start.
Be it resolved by the Quorum Court, Boone County, State of Arkansas, resolution to be entitled, a resolution expressing the willingness of Boone County to partner with the Arkansas State Highway and Transportation Department for the following projects. CA 0906, Maxi Camp Road, Highway 206 widening. Whereas Boone County and the Arkansas State Highway and Transportation Department have identified a need to widen Highway 65 from Maxi Camp Road to Highway 206 south of Harrison. And whereas the Arkansas State Highway and Transportation Department has agreed to pay for water utility relocation from the Valley Springs and Western Grove Public Water District Associations with the widening of Highway 65 between Maxi Camp Road and the Newton County line if the public water districts are unable to pay for the relocations. And whereas Highway 396, Section 0, a length of approximately 2.77 miles, will be removed from the Arkansas highway system in Boone County, will be responsible for maintenance of the road upon completion of job CA 0906. Now therefore be it resolved by the Quorum Court of Boone County, Arkansas, that Section 1, the county will participate in accordance with its designated responsibilities in this project. Section 2, the county judge or his designated representative is hereby authorized and directed to execute all appropriate agreements and contracts necessary to expedite the construction of the project. Section 3, the county pledges in full support and hereby requests that the Arkansas State Highway and Transportation Department initializes action to implement this project.
Any questions?
Motion to adopt.
I have a question.
Yes.
Second.
What is the estimated cost for maintaining this 2.77 miles per year?
Usually for a state highway, it averages about $2,500 a year. And this road here is traveled very lightly. It's paved. It's been chipped and sealed. It's in real good shape. I wouldn't even consider it. The reason that I'm even considering doing this is there's between Maxi Camp and the county line, Valley Springs has water lines on the state right of way. For them to move them state water lines, which they're going to have to do, it would cost them about $406,000 to move them. The agreement was with me, if I would take over this road right here, and I picked the road, and I picked it because of the less travel and stuff. If I would take that over, then the state would take the expense of moving those water lines for Valley Springs.
And you said it's approximately $2,500 a year.
Yes, and that's bigger than high because that's what usually your state highways cost you, $2,500 per mile a year. So I apologize, it's $2,500 a mile. So you're probably looking at almost $6,000 total per year.
Thank you.
Now, this is Everton Road we're talking about, right?
Pardon?
Is this Everton Road?
No. This road here is 396, which is between Omaha and Harrison.
Okay.
Look at the map.
And it dead ends at one of our county roads. Yes. You have a question, Frank?
That's good.
No, it's scratching my nose.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you love to buy something.
Okay, call for a vote?
Wait a minute.
Yes,
Mr. Chairman, now, you're talking about between Mexicamp Road and Newton County line. Mexicamp Road is right down here south of that junction.
Yeah, that's where the new water line, or that's where the road is going to be widened. It's from Maxey Camp Road to the Newton County line, going through Valley Springs.
He's trading maintenance at Omaha for this deal.
Right.
He's taking over a stretch of road at Omaha in order for the state to do this at Valley.
So what are you doing at Omaha?
Pardon?
What are you going to do at Omaha?
Nothing. The road's there. It's paved. It's chipped and sealed. Guardrail. It's in good shape. And that's the only reason I chose it to take over, because I knew there wasn't a lot of traffic on it. What we'll have to do, of course, we'll maintain like any of our other paved roads. Eventually we'll have to do repairs on it and stuff. But right now it's in good shape. The cost of Valley Springs would have been substantial because each one of your water people had water, paid for water and stuff. Their bill would have went drastically if we didn't do this. And the state's doing this all over the state of Arkansas. They're getting these counties to do this. I also, though, I did make sure, and it took about 2 months, I made them go back and check any roads in Boone County to make sure that we wouldn't have to do this again. Because I told them, I said, this needs to be a one-time deal. And if there's anywhere else they see this happening, we need to discuss it. And so they went back and checked, and they said there wouldn't be any more. This would be the only one.
Are they gonna dig up the old line and put a new line down?
They're going to dig. I don't know if they're going to put a new one. They're going to dig up the old one and move it. I'll
Which
say
side
about
line
it.
is it?
Pardon?
Which side line is it for?
I have no idea. Right? I have no idea. I know it's the main water line that runs from, I guess, a lake to. Okay.
Ready? Kara Staten.
Yes.
Frank Hampson.
Yeah.
Dan Roberts.
Yes.
Kathy Valentine.
Yes.
Sam Kinsley. Robert Meek.
Yes.
Jim Hart.
Yes.
Ralph Quinn.
Yes.
James Widener.
Yes.
David Thompson.
Yes.
Okay. Got that passed. Our next ordinance is to inform the Quorum Court and to approve the implementation of our energy efficient upgrades in county facilities. Kathy, you said you would submit this?
Yes, I recommend that we read this by title only.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Aye. Ralph, did you oppose it, or?
Yes.
Okay. Kathy, you want to read the whole thing?
Be it enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Boone, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled, an ordinance to inform the Quorum Court and to approve the implementation of energy efficiency upgrades in county facilities and authorizing Judge Hathaway to execute a contract for that implementation on the county's behalf. Section 1. In December, the Quorum Court provided initial approval for the implementation of self-funding upgrades to county buildings. 360 Energy Engineers has obtained final project pricing based upon a final project scope of work. This ordinance provides final approval so that project implementation may begin on upgrades that will be implemented without any additional out-of-pocket costs to Boone County. An additional ordinance for project financing will be considered in April. Section 2, severability. If any provision or section of this ordinance is held invalid by a court of competent jurisdiction, such invalidity shall not affect other provisions and sections of this ordinance, and to such end, the provision and sections of this ordinance are declared severable. I move that we adopt.
Second.
Okay. Yes.
Why are we not ensuring financing before we approve the project?
Let me, Joe Harla is here with Energy 360. Joe, will you address this, please?
Yes, I can. We have the financing underway. However, in Arkansas, it takes a little bit extra in order to essentially get the financing set up. We will not commence with any of the project, and in fact, won't ask Judge Hathaway to execute that contract until such time as we have the financing set up with the county. But essentially, if we put the cart ahead of the horse, which would be trying to ask the financiers to offer that financing prior to having the initial approval of this contract, we run into some challenges. So essentially, we're trying to get this project approved, won't begin work until that financing is in place.
I understand.
So you have your point is very valid. We want to make sure we have the money to pay for it before we start ordering equipment.
I understand that. Thank you.
What's good is it's guaranteed, the financing is guaranteed before we have to do it.
What about the rate on the financing? I think there's some concern about will that rate be constant? How long financing?
It's going to be a fixed rate, and we're looking at two options right now. We'll ask the financiers to look at two different options. The project will pay for itself, where the energy savings will exceed the payment. It's a fixed rate, but the energy savings will exceed the payments over 12 years. We'd originally actually talked about 15 years when we met a couple of months ago. But actually the project pricing came in a little bit better than anticipated. So that allows us, with approximately a 3% rate over 12 years is what we anticipate, that we'll be able to pay it off a few years more quickly and still generate a positive cash flow.
You anticipate it's not locked in?
At this point it is not, and that's come April, what we'll be essentially asking for approval of at that time is a locked interest rate. We've been between 2.5% and 3.5% for the last 5 years. It's going to be right around that 3%. But that's a great point. It's still at this point a little bit of.
And how much money are we talking about total?
The total amount is $383,338. I'm going to confirm that number.
A lot of 3s and 8s, isn't it?
There are a lot. In fact, there's not as many as I said. It's not 338. It's 331. So in my mind, there were more. It's 383 and 331. Total annual savings of $39,740.
Okay, question.
Yes, sir.
Are we not putting the cart before the horse in an assumption that these savings will, in fact, present themselves over a period of 10 years?
No, we actually guarantee the energy savings. What we've done to this point is conducted a thorough energy analysis where we actually model each of your buildings, and we're able to calculate based on the run hours of your buildings, the type of lights you have right now, the types of lights we'll put in, as well as the energy efficient, the internet-based controls, how much we'll save. And we'll actually track that savings after the project's been installed. And in the event that you do not realize the savings that we've guaranteed, we write you a check for that shortfall. So I mentioned $39,740. If you only achieve $30,000 in savings, we would write a check for $9,740.
So I'm supposed to tell my constituents that if it falls short, you're going to ante it up.
That's exactly right.
Mr. Chairman, looks like why not consider replacing these bulbs as they burn out and not be strapped with $383,000? That's 2.5% to 3.5% in it.
You don't have a guarantee, number one. You can replace these bulbs. Some of these lights have to be retrofitted too. You can't just go in and replace a regular bulb. Some of them have to be retrofitted. With this, and this is why it piqued our interest to start with, is number one, it's a guaranteed savings. It's a guarantee they're going to go to 9 of our buildings, replace all the lights. that looks to water faucets and stuff like that?
Yeah, there's a minimal amount of water fixture modifications that will reduce your water consumption, and then the other piece is the internet-based HVAC controls.
And they're going to replace all this. Well, we don't have to. You know, they furnish the inspectors and stuff like that to see that this is all done right, because they've got more to lose from it than we do, because it's a guaranteed savings for us. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, I was going to ask him, what are we going to use as a base to establish the savings?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We established a baseline. We actually have gathered extensive utility data from the last several years from the county, and also looked at weather data related to that, so that we can establish a weather normalized baseline. So we know on a typical weather year how much energy consumption you're using, because obviously there's a little bit of variability from related to weather. So that allows us to compare before and after very effectively.
Sounds like an engineer thing.
It is. And at the end of 15 years, there's what, $500,000.
Yeah. When we look at this we look at it over 20 years. Now, we're not financing over 20. We're financing over either 12 or 15, and we'll bring both of those for your consideration. But the net impact is a positive cash flow over 20 years of greater than $500,000 to the county. So, again, once you have it paid off, the energy savings just accrues to the county. There's no longer a payment.
And not to mention the difference in the lighting. I don't know if any of you are familiar with LED lighting. I'm sure you are, Ralph, and stuff like that. We had our shop done, and it cut our lighting in half. You know, that's how bright it is and stuff. It makes a lot of difference. And we're not talking about one building. We're talking about all 9 of the county buildings.
It's kind of bulbs we got, wasn't it?
We got all kinds of
those LEDs.
Spotlights.
Well, yeah, but LED.
Yeah, they were LED, right, correct.
Different spectrum.
And we're not going into this blind. We've talked about this, and I have researched it, and I've gone back with Joe here and some of his other associates, and we've looked deep into it. I want to make sure that when we went into this, it wasn't going to cost the county money.
Excuse me, point of procedure. Do we really have to put this on 3 readings?
Well, right now, this is just a vote for them to move ahead with this.
It's not to approve this ordinance?
Pardon?
It is not to approve this ordinance?
I believe in speaking to Lucretia that the hope was to approve the ordinance at this time. And the reason that there was an exception to your standard protocol is that we did go out and solicit pricing from subcontractors. And to ask them to hold pricing for 90 days is simply not realistic.
Can we not fast track it and I'll make a motion, put it on the second reading tonight?
Second.
Yeah, it's got to be on first version.
I thought we were going to vote first.
Did we really get it?
Kathy read it.
That's right. Been so long ago.
Right. That's the thing.
We could make an emergency ordinance out of it and pass it with 2/3 majority in one reading, if we wanted to.
Well, here's my thing. We need to do this so they can get moving
well,
on
that's-
this and
that's-
get the financing.
And I don't have a problem with it, I just want to make sure we're following proper procedure.
Right.
We
Yeah.
got to suspend the rules to do that.
I made the motion to suspend the rules and put it on a second.
Mr. Chairman.
Third reading by title only.
By title only, thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I'd like to ask this gentleman another question.
Yes, sir.
Where is the labor coming from to implement this?
The majority of the labor, in fact, the vast majority of it is from here in Harrison.
Where's the other?
There's a little bit coming out of Little Rock. On the plumbing piece, it's a specialized plumbing retrofit that's being done. It's not simply replacing an entire toilet. It's retrofitting flush valves, that sort of thing. And that happens to be a contractor from there. 90% of the labor, roughly, is from here in town.
That's good.
And I will say that was at the request of Judge Hathaway that we involve local contractors. We actually invited, in addition to the one that will be doing the work, or the ones about other 4 firms locally that were involved in that process.
Okay. This is the first reading, so we can't put it on the second reading. We read for the first time.
Okay, so we need to vote on the first reading.
We have
a
to
first and
vote.
second.
Kathy already read it.
Yeah.
She already
We
read it.
never did vote on it, he was discussing it.
We don't vote until after 3 readings.
Oh, okay. But we had a
Yes.
motion.
That's the question if we made from the public. What about the benefit of competitive bidding? Is this the only company that's bidding the job? We're spending $383,000.
They're the only engineers that has come to us and offered to do this for us.
Should we not put it out for competitive bidding?
If I may, our role in this is actually, and we conducted this at this point, to complete a competitive bidding process with contractors who will actually be
The
installing.
main contract is with your company.
That's right.
And your company's name is?
360 Energy Engineers.
And you've been in business for how long?
Our parent company's been in business since 1964.
That's good. So you expect to make it another 15 years or so?
We should be here for at least the next 15.
Honor and guarantee.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
What's the parent we didn't do all the
It's called
competitive
Willdan.
for the
It's an engineering firm.
electricians and
It's
stuff
a national
like that.
engineering firm. They're bigger on the coast. In the Midwest, we do business as 360 Energy Engineering.
But are there other companies that do the same thing that he's doing?
I'm sure there are.
I mean, from the outside looking in, and my mind's fairly shallow, this is a dream contract for a company to make these arrangements, set it all up. They figured the savings, they figured the price, they figured the cost that they're going to charge for it. And you know, if your savings is good, you can get a better in your cost basis or what they're charging. And competitive bidding would eliminate any possibility. And then there's also always the possibility of getting with our contractors, local contractors, and just doing a building at a time or a floor at a time, changing out these lights.
I talked to Dean Stewart about that. He came to me about that situation. Problem is, there's none of them willing to give us the guarantee that we're going to save enough money to pay for it.
Guarantees built into the fixture and LED lights.
Well,
And they not save money.
It may not, but if they don't, then you're stuck with the payment, you know. With this, if it doesn't pay for itself, then they're going to write us a check to pay for it.
And as for the competitive bidding, I will answer that. That actually, by statute, the selection of a company such as mine to do this work is done through a qualifications process, much like when you select an architect or an engineer. It's not a financial procurement process. It is a qualifications-based process. So that is something that we have worked with Judge Hathaway to make sure that we've completed that effectively and met those qualifications. We are one of the pre-qualified vendors in the state of Arkansas to work with. This is a little bit different, but to work with state agencies as well. So that qualification certainly, hopefully, I think Judge Hathaway seen us not.
Pardon me.
Okay. You voted on that.
Then you have a motion to place it on the second reading, seconded by Kathy.
Okay. So all of it, we had to do a roll call vote on it, in the second reading.
Was it to suspend the rules, or make it an emergency, or put it on second reading?
Mine was the second reading. Pardon me, we're getting a call.
Yeah, roll call.
All right. Frank Hampson,
Yeah.
Dan Roberts,
Yes.
Kathy Valentine,
Yes.
Sam Tinsley,
Yes.
Robert Meek,
Yes.
Jim Hart,
Yes.
Ralph Quinn,
Yes.
James Widener,
Yes.
David Thompson,
Yes.
Kara State.
Yes.
Be it enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Boone, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled, An ordinance to inform the Quorum Court and to approve the implementation of energy efficiency upgrades in county facilities, and authorizing Judge Hathaway to execute a contract for that implementation on the county's behalf.
And then just suspend the rules if anyone start reading by title only.
Second.
Need a roll call vote on that again.
I'm not trying to confuse things here, but okay, so all we're doing right now is, okay, you don't have to do, now you can do the voice vote. Go ahead, you need to do the roll call on that's the actual reading of this, but to suspend the rule, you can do the voice vote, as long as there's no objection.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Doesn't it take a supermajority though to?
But there's no opposition.
Only if
It would be
you're
considered
going
an
to pass it the first time, but there's no opposition.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay.
Read it again.
Be it enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Boone, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled, an ordinance to inform the Quorum Court and to approve the implementation of energy efficiency upgrades in county facilities, and authorizing Judge Hathaway to execute a contract for that implementation on the county's behalf.
We need a motion to adopt.
Motion
I move
to
it.
adopt. Second.
Now, we roll call. Yes, sir.
Okay. Kathy Valentine.
Yes.
Sam Tinsley.
Yes.
Robert Meade.
Yes.
Jim Hart.
Yes.
Ralph Gwynn.
Yes.
James Whiteman.
Yes.
David Thompson.
Yes.
Kara Stevens.
Yes.
Frank Hampson.
Yes.
Dan Roberts.
Yes.
Thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Enjoy the rest of your evening. Yes, sir.
Got a question. Did that include 4-H Center out there? Did you look at it?
It does not include the 4-H Center. I can tell you the buildings that we'll be doing the lighting in. If you'd like to hear that, I know Judge Hathaway, the courthouse, the old federal building, the new law enforcement center, the library and annex, the 911 emergency center OEM building, health department, election commission. The only portion of that is the part that's not being remodeled at present, so the part that has not yet been touched. Well, actually, the extension office and then the airport. And the airport.
Extension office, what you was asking.
Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah,
Sorry.
extension.
Okay, extension office.
Yeah.
My apologies then. So yes, we did cover that. And the last one was the airport I started to mention. And that's just the county-owned buildings. I think there's some hangars that are not owned by the county.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. We look forward to working with you.
Joe, I guess, do you have cards to give these guys back?
Yeah. Did everybody like the card? Or?
How about Charlie?
$383,000.
Do you have the handouts for them?
You get as many as you want for that. You get as many as you want for that.
That's right. That's right. Almost, actually. Hold on. I think I've got one more.
Okay, you have a question over here?
Here.
Yeah, I was just wondering, he's named off all these buildings, the county jail wasn't included in
It is. Yeah, I said law enforcement center, I believe, but
Okay, so you're that.
jail.
Yeah, okay.
And I'll leave a copy of this for everybody.
Thank you.
We can share.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you all again. And I'll be in touch with you, sir.
While you're here, one more question. When you were here before, I raised the question about the fact that or asked you about EMP proofing the new whatever's involved in the wiring of that, and you said that you were going to leave, what was it, one of the old ballasts in place so that we would be EMP proof with this technology. Is that going forward that way?
So we'll be removing the ballasts, which
on all of it.
That's correct.
So, in other words, if we have an EMP and the ballasts are not, or the replacement ballast, whatever you call them, they're not EMP proof, then we're going to be completely dark if we have an EMP.
So where you have emergency ballast, so that's and I apologize, I do remember this conversation, where you have emergency ballast, those will stay in place.
An emergency ballast, the old style.
That's right.
Okay.
Which is, again, a very minimal quantity of ballast that you have.
So we can
you have that
change
same
tubes or whatever, and then at least we have one line.
Exactly right.
Okay, when the grid goes down.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. All right. Thank you again.
Okay, let's move on. We have appropriation ordinance and appropriation ordinance to transfer funds from Judge Webb's budget to Judge Layton's budget and to appropriate reimbursement funds into the county sheriff's budget, submitted by Justice Hart.
Yes, I would move to read it.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. Okay, Jim.
Being acted by the Quorum Court of the County of Boone, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled, an ordinance amending the annual budget of Boone County for fiscal year 2016 and authorizing the county judge to administer such budget for other purposes. Now therefore be ordained by the Quorum Court of Boone County, Arkansas, Section 1. The following appropriation is made from budget for Judge Webb 1,000-0401, from 1,00401, 3,100 Judge Webb OS&C, other miscellaneous $2,500, 1,00414, 3,100 juvenile judge OS&C, other miscellaneous $2,500. This sum of $2,500 is the amount Judge Webb office is going to transfer to the juvenile judge's budget to help with the cost of Baxter County billing Boone County for juvenile judges' budgetary services. Section 2, the following appropriation is made from the County General Fund number 1,000, from 1,000 County General to 1,400, 2002 County Sheriff's small equipment, $1,407. That's the total amount. The supplies, small equipment's $1,029. To 1,004, 3,009 County Sheriff OS&C, other professional services, $378.16. This sum, $1,407.16, is the amount of two reimbursements already deposited in the County General. $1,029 is for the sale of the dog cage for the K-9 unit of the Harrison Police Department, and $378 is for restitution owed to Boone County Sheriff's Office for towing, with no new money appropriated. Any provision of section of this ordinance is held invalid by a court of competent jurisdiction. Such invalidity shall not affect other provisions in the section of the ordinance, and such provisions and sections of this ordinance are declared to be severable. The ordinance hereinafter is acted upon the approach of the ordinance is therefore effective immediately. I will move for its adoption.
Also.
Second. Any questions? Okay. Roll call vote.
Kathy Valentine?
Yes.
Sam Tinsley?
Yes.
Robert Meade?
Yes.
Jim Park?
Yes.
Ralph Gwynn?
Yes.
James Wagner?
Yes.
David Thompson?
Yes.
Kara Staton?
Yes.
Frank Hampson?
Yes.
Dan Reed?
Yes.
You want to talk about Ron today now?
Sure.
You what?
You mean go?
Yeah.
You want to bring up Ron? Kincaid. Go ahead.
It has been reported by County Judge Hasselby this evening that he has established the connection with Ron Kincaid to act as our civil attorney for the Quorum Court. Final arrangements have been made. The amount of salary has been, as was discussed previously, $24,000 per year. I think we look forward to having him on board by May 1st.
Yes, yes.
Has there been an ordinance passed to this?
Not yet.
That's why we're discussing.
He hasn't finished his discussion.
Yeah.
Wow, you talk like it was a done deal.
No, no.
He would be an assistant county attorney is what he would be, yeah.
Reason for this is just like this 360 engineering contracts that we've had with buying buildings and stuff like that. You know, it would be nice to have someone to turn to make sure all these contracts were legal binding and everything, you know, and that we was doing the right thing. Also, like this gentleman here filling in, David, Ethers, you know, we appreciate it. Ron would be here at every Quorum Court meeting to help us. He would be accessible to all the JPs, to the sheriff's department, you know, whatever you needed. He could help with write contracts, you know, and in our bidding process, make sure that we're doing it right.
I'm full support of Ron.
That was my whole idea, just get to, you know, get everybody's feelings on this, and because I really think it's necessary that we have this. There's too many things that can happen. You know, like Carol was saying, you know, you want to make sure that you dot your I's and cross your T's in a Quorum Court meeting like this. And with this tax bill coming up, it would be nice to have him be able to look it over too. So, what's everybody's feelings?
Well, it'll prevent a bohica. It could prevent it.
I've been on the fence about hiring an attorney just purely for the expense of it, but because, you know, county law is kind of special, but the first time the opportunity to hire somebody with his experience in county law, I think that knocks me off the fence towards doing it.
Well, it's like the judge said, if we don't interpret the verbiage just right, his yearly compensation could be lost on one deal.
And this 360 is a good example of that. And I told Mr. Harley this morning, today when I talked to him, that I was looking at doing this because I would like to have that contract read. And I talked to Ron. He said, just send it to me. He'll read it right now. You know, and give me, you know, an answer on, you know, within the day. That's good. And that's why, you know, we're not committed to this yet. Right now, they're trying to find the financing and stuff like that. You know, so we've got time if something was to happen that wasn't right in the contract or something to back out of it. But I don't foresee that problem. But I just think it would be an asset for us to have Ron on board with us. He's willing to come out of retirement just because he enjoys working with the JPs, and that's what he told me. He said, you know, I worked with the JPs in the past, and I enjoyed working with them. But he wanted to make sure that every one of them was on board with this.
So, this will eliminate any need of hiring any more outside attorneys at any time.
It should, right.
So maybe we can get him to do this ordinance for us and we can save the $4,000 real quick.
Now, he did say that...
We've already signed a contract.
He didn't want to draft ordinances, right? He would look at them, but he didn't want to draft them.
We know we're pretty well handling the drafting of the ordinances.
Right.
You know, there's nothing, I mean, until it comes to something like this. I mean, this may just be one of those things that days come and everything. I've been pretty against it all along. I think we hire lawyers when we need them, not when we don't need them. But, you know, this is one of the most nominal fees we've ever been presented with for this option as well. But, and he is, I mean, I've talked to Rainwater at the state, and I mean, he knows that Kincaid, he knows Ron, and knows that he is, as like I've said before, you know, he was described as one of the old, the equivalent of the doctors that made house calls, if you will, kind of the old school that did all of the law practice and has, you know. But anyway, you know, if it will eliminate all other lawyer hiring, that'd be really cool.
And another thing, it's nothing against David. It's like when Ron was over, he didn't have the time.
Yeah.
But Ron has the time now, and a lot of times it's hard for anybody to get a hold of David because he's either in court or he's got district.
And like I said, it's not as far, maybe 3 or 4 days before we get an answer from him in time, because he is so busy. So,
Yeah.
you know, and then just,
But county with an $11 million budget, we need a civil attorney to guide us through your contracts and stuff. So that all wants.
Would there even be any need for David Etheridge to be here?
No, we're all depend on all the meetings.
Amazing how things change, huh, Sam, Brad? I said, it's amazing how things have changed, and never mind, that's, I just remember.
You're trying to drag me into
I just
something.
remember.
I'm kind of like Ralph on that, you know, just one mess up could cost us what it's going to cost us to hire him. Your hiring and firing practices are getting tougher every day, and I use Whitmore a lot, but he's, you know, there's times he's even hard to get hold of. So I just feel we have a need for that.
Mr. Chairman, was the legislative audit item with regard to Boone, had that been resolved? We had an ordinance last month.
To review it. It's to be on the agenda at some point to document that we did look at our audit.
Well, I had a note here, it was suspended to the March meeting, but I see it wasn't on the agenda. I didn't know whether it had been resolved now or not.
We're still working on it.
Working on resolution is what's happening, I believe.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
I have an answer for you.
Yes, sir.
All of you, there's been a couple of troopers got a hold of me, reference what we did last month about these LED lights for their safety on their truck arms, county officers and the state officers. I've had a couple of phone calls thanking me. I told them they need to thank the whole Quorum Court because y'all did this. But they seem to be very thrilled, and they're lighting up the world out, I guess, at nighttime. So.
Can we get like 11 stickers for our vehicles then?
I'll ask, David. I don't think you will, but I'll ask.
Put a sticker on
No,
it.
just to let y'all know they're very appreciative of the ones I've talked to. So I think Judge Hathaway's had contacted a couple. And maybe y'all have too, I don't know. So.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I had a constituent ask would like to have a detailed data sheet relating to these lights for these troopers.
I'm not so.
I'm not totally sure what he wanted, but he said you know, he said the state police have the extremely large budget. He said we pay taxes here in this county. Why should we go and buy an entity or a company out there or an organization out there, service organization that has got plenty of money? And he said, I'm a taxpayer, and why should we be doing that for them? And
I don't know how to
he just
answer.
said,
I mean, Ralph, the only thing I know to tell you from my past experience, back when I was a young pup, when I came up here, all the 75 counties around the state bought, for example, radars. The sheriffs wanted them, but Lord knows the sheriffs didn't want their people to have them because that worked against them politically, for their deputies to be writing speeding tickets, okay? So let's give it to Mike, the state police. Let's buy radars for them, let them write the tickets to generate money for the county, okay? Now the state police buys the radars, but at that time they couldn't or whatever. But I remember years that Boone County, and where I worked, they did the same thing. They bought radars for those police units. They don't do that today, but I know what Boone County does. I don't think Boone County does anything, which that's fine. But these guys, Chris Grady particularly, came to me a few months ago, and if we can just spend only $5,000 to buy these lights for their safety, I told them, bring this up to y'all, which that's what we did. But at some point in time, I would imagine maybe the state police, when they start ordering these cars, will start putting these lights in at some point in time in the future. I hope. I don't know. I don't have to answer your question for your constituent. I don't know what they're looking for. but
What benefit do we get out as a county out of buying this one?
Safety for the.
safety for, hopefully they'll lock that car up where they can start seeing a lot better at nighttime inside that vehicle.
And the tickets say right, bringing what, 400,000 a year or something like that?
That's what I was told around, they generate around.
And I know it
what
was their
it, Tom,
job
around
to do
two?
that.
It was, your figures were 200 but I think.
Yeah, it was
the
well
county,
over $250,000 a year.
So, then if they're generating, if the officers are generating that kind of money, what's $5,000? That's how I look at it.
And I'd like to add, these state policemen they live here in Boone County, so they're a part of us, and their safety comes first, as far as I'm concerned.
And in the past, they've never asked for anything.
Well, I'm not, I wasn't against it.
No, I know that, but I don't know how to answer your
But
question for your
My
position. I don't know what to
constituent
look for.
was wanting more information as to, why and how much money comes into the county, and I'm a taxpayer now, why should I be paying double tax to facilitate them? And he said, I understand about the extra tinting of light of the glass windows now. It's more of a problem for law enforcement gentlemen, folks to penetrate this. But he was wanting, and
Well, I don't have the figures now, because all that, I gave that back to Chris. But as Tommy says, it was somewhere around that 400 or $500,000, money that they generate on a 12-month basis. And at the time that Chris had gone, because I asked him for this information, go back to the court clerks to get these numbers. They were operating on 5 troopers. Now they tell me there's positions for 7 or 8 in this county.
7 now, I think, and they've got.
Well, they got 7 now, and they got a position for 1 more. Yeah. So, but the figures that I gave y'all at the time was operating on 3 to 5 troopers throughout that 12-month period.
We have a motion adjournment.
This program is brought to you as a public service of KTK.